Hello, friends, and welcome to Story Time. Today we are reading one of my favorite stories, Not Quite Narwhal, and this is by Jessie Sima. And here on the cover we see something that could be a narwhal, something in the ocean. We see some fish. Do we know what's in the ocean? But we're not really sure what's going on. So this is the front cover, this is the back cover, and this is the spine. Ooh, I see here on the back cover we're on land, and here we're in the ocean. So I think the story is going to be about something about the ocean and the land. We'll find out. This is the title page, Not Quite Narwhal. Kelp was born deep in the ocean. Kelp right there, so cute. He knew early on that he was different from the other narwhals. His tusk wasn't as long as everyone else's. Do you see how there's other narwhals have a really long tusk, but Kelp has a really short tusk? He had different tastes in food. Do you see the narwhal is eating something that is probably like octopus? And Kelp is like sticking out his tongue. He's like, ugh. He doesn't really like that food. And he wasn't a very good swimmer. Does he look like he's swimming very well? They're swimming in circles and he's just trying to keep up. And he even has some floaties on to help him swim. Wow. But his friends didn't seem to mind. So Kelp decided he wouldn't either. See how he's on the tail? They're going swimming and his friend is helping him swim. So Kelp is hanging on there. So one day, Kelp got swept away by a strong current. Here he's trying to hold on and he doesn't make it. So he goes up, 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 and here's the current and he's going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And he says, I wish I were a better swimmer. Because if he was a better swimmer, he wouldn't have been stuck in that strong current, would he? Kelp found himself at the surface, closer to land than he'd ever been before. Look, it's dark out. High up on a cliff, he spotted a mysterious, sparkling creature. It looked so familiar. It looked like Kelp. You see the creature right there? Kind of looks like Kelp, doesn't it? Looks pretty similar. Kelp swam towards land as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that he could catch up with a creature that looked just like him. So here we can, in these three panels, we can see the different changing of time. So here it starts out nighttime, and here is sunrise, and here it's midday, and you can see that the sun is rising, and now it's higher in the sky. So that's how you know that time has changed. And then here it's really dark. Here it's a little bit dark, but it's starting to be a little lighter. And here it's really light. So time is passing. When he finally reached the shore, Kelp felt a little bit anxious. He had never left the ocean. Anxious means maybe scared and nervous. That's anxious. He was nervous about walking for the first time. But the land creatures made it look so easy. Do you remember when you didn't know how to walk? Maybe you were a little baby and all you knew how to do was crawl? Well, Kelp is kind of in a similar space. He only knows how to swim. And he has never walked on land in his whole life. So he has to learn right now. Well, here he's trying to copy the crab. He's trying to walk sideways like a crab and he goes, oof. Look, he falls over. Now he tries to copy a frog, and the frog jumps. And so he tries to jump, and he goes, ow. Then he finds a turtle, and the turtle puts one foot in front of the other, and that's what Kelp does. And he finally learns how to walk. Eventually, Kelp got the hang of it. He learned how to walk, just like you learned how to walk too when you were a little baby. Everything on land was strange and beautiful, but also kind of scary. Kelp began to think he might never find the creature that looked just like him. So look at all those eyes. Kelp has never even seen eyes like that. He's really scared. But look, there's a little light shining on him so he can see a little bit. But as he stumbled out of the forest, oh my goodness, what did he see? He saw land narwhals. That's what he said. Now, are they actually called land narwhals? Does that look like a land narwhal to you? Nope. And this one says, actually, we're unicorns. And by the looks of it, so are you. He thought he was a narwhal this whole time, but it turns out he wasn't. He was a unicorn? Goodness. And look, there's a rainbow. And over here, there's a couple rainbows. This unicorn is playing a guitar. Kelp had never heard of unicorns before. They taught him all sorts of new things about his tusks. And he says, we call them horns. Wow. Look, he thought back in the beginning of the book, he just said, oh, mine's so short compared to the narwhals, which are really long, right? But it turns out his was actually just short for a reason, because he wasn't a narwhal. He was a unicorn, and he can make rainbows come out of his tusk. They introduce him to unicorn delicacies. This is a unicone. Look what he's eating. It's like a snow cone, but it's called a unicone, and it's rainbow. And they showed him how to gallop. So he was learning how to walk from the turtle, right? Let's see the turtle. He's learning how to walk like a turtle, but it turns out he's going to walk like a unicorn, which is called a gallop. There was no doubt that Kelp was, in fact, a unicorn. He was having so much fun that he didn't want to leave. But then he remembered all of his friends under the sea. Kelp missed them terribly, so he said goodbye to the unicorns, and he returned to the ocean. And this one says, come back soon, and even the crab is saying goodbye. He wanted to go home to see his friends in the ocean. Even though he knew that he is the same as these unicorns, he still missed his home where he grew up under the sea. Kelp swam towards home as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that the narwhals would still like him now that he was a unicorn. So you can see it starts off in midday, and then the sun is setting, and then it's dark. So the time has passed. Midday, and this is sunset, and this is nighttime when the sun has gone to bed. When he finally arrived, Kelp had butterflies in his stomach. Now, it doesn't really mean that he has real butterflies. It's just an expression to mean he was really nervous, just like he was when he was on land. He was anxious. He's anxious to come home. He didn't know if they would still like him now that they knew he was different. But it turns out he needn't have worried. They had a big sign that said, welcome home. And they are so excited to see Kelp. This one says, Kelp! They're so excited that he's back. Kelp took a deep breath and told his friends the news. It turns out I'm not a narwhal. And they said, of course you aren't. They knew this whole time that Kelp was not a unicorn. This is not a narwhal. They knew he was a unicorn. So he says, I'm a unicorn. And they said, we all knew that. They all knew that except for Kelp. That's so silly. They said they took the news quite well because it turns out they already knew. Kelp was happy to be home. But now that he'd experienced life on land with the unicorns, he couldn't seem to forget them. So here he is in his bed, and he has his little toy, narwhal baby toy right there. And he has a picture of a unicorn that he drew, and he has this picture of a narwhal that he drew. He's just thinking. What's he thinking about? He's thinking about all the friends that he met and all the adventures that he had on land. Did he want to be a land narwhal with the unicorns? Or did he want to be a sea unicorn with the narwhals? Kelp couldn't decide. But then he realized that maybe, just maybe, oh my goodness, look, I think they're going to meet the narwhals and the unicorns. He didn't have to choose. And look, who is playing together? I see narwhals. I see unicorns. I see they're making some sort of shape. They're drawing a narwhal shape onto the unicorn in the sand. Here's Kelp over here jumping with the rainbow. Here there's a narwhal playing with a unicorn in the water. And here they're playing some sort of volleyball game in the beach. And it's unicorns and narwhals are playing together. And they're making friends. And there's rainbows. And look, these two are making friends, this narwhal and this unicorn. They're jumping together. So it turns out, even though Kelp is different, he could still be friends. So even though we're all different, we can all still be friends too. Because we can still get along and we can appreciate all the fun that we can have together when we can get along. I just love that. So thanks everyone for coming to Storytime with me, Miss Eliza. And thanks for reading my favorite book with me, Not Quite Narwhal.